Okay, so we've got our form here, and if we were to click on our form, which we created last class, we go to add information, and this one at the moment will actually, if you run it, will actually move it forward a page. But we don't want it to move it forward a page until all of this information is actually filled out. And the way we do that is we declare a variable for each one of these things and check if there is actually any information in them. So let's have a look. So what we want to do is this one here is text box 1. Yours might be text box 2 or text box 3. This next one is text box 2. So this one is where we're going to put first name. This one's where we're going to put surname. So if I go to here, I'm going to declare some variables. So you'll notice I put this multi-page right down the bottom. And now I'm going to declare some variables. Dim first name as string. Dim surname as string. Dim gender as string. Okay, so that's the first thing that we do. Now what we want to know, we want to say that first name is actually equal to the text box value. So first name is equal to text box 1.value. Now I know that this over here is actually called text box 1. So the value that goes into text box 1 will actually be first name. And if I go to here, I know that that is text box 2. And so if I click on here and write surname is equal to text box 2 dot value, then whatever runs here, text box, first name variable will be whatever is filled in text box 1, and the surname will be whatever is filled in text box 2. But what we now need to do is do an if statement, an if-then statement. So let's go. If first name is equal to, and we actually put two inverted commas right next to one another, right? And that means that there is nothing in there, okay? Then, and we have to finish the end if. We have to finish the if. So as soon as we do an if, we must put an end if. So if first name is equal to nothing, that's the value for nothing, then end if. And what we want to do there is we actually want to put in a message box that comes up when they run it. If they try and click on the select button here, it will actually say, hey, please enter a first name. So we click on there and we go in here, we write MSG, control space, please enter a first name. And what we want it to do is we want it to exit the sub right at that point. So what will happen is, if there is no value in the first name, then it will actually do first name, please enter your first name, exit the sub, then end if. So let's run that. And I've run it, and what will happen is I'll put nothing in here, and I'll click on there, and it'll say please enter a first name. And when I press OK, it won't actually go to page 2. Okay, but if I put a value in here, any value, and press add information, it actually goes to page 2. So let's have a look at that again. So we want it to actually add, make sure that there's something in surname as well. So if we copy this whole thing from if surname to end if, press Control C and paste it in, and just adjust it so it works nicely, so it looks nice. And then write if surname is equal to that, is equal to nothing, message box, please enter a surname. And that will run the same thing. So all we're doing is saying if there's nothing in surname, it will run the same way. So let's run it again. And so if we don't put anything in here, it'll actually say please enter a first name, and it'll exit the sub. If I press something in here, I add that and it'll actually say please enter a surname. And then if I add that, it'll actually go right through to there. So we can see that that's what it is. But what about gender? Let's have a look. We have got an option box, and this first option box is actually option button 1, and this one is option button 2. And what we want to ask is if there is no value in either the male or either option box 1 or option box 2, then do the same thing. So it's just space. If option control space button 1 dot value is equal to false, then end if, then message box please enter a gender. But at that moment, when I finish this, all that's doing is checking if there's something in here. But there's not checking if there's something in here. So let's have a look at that. If I go, if option box 1 dot value is false, and, so this is between the then, and option button 2 dot value is equal to false, then, so let's have a look at that. So option button, and so it goes, if option button 1 value is false and option button 2 value is false, then. And when I click on there, you know it's correct because it changes the colors here correctly. Okay, so let's run that. If I put something in here, it says enter a surname. If I put in something here, it says please enter a gender. So I need to actually enter a gender. But do you notice how it went to page 2? And that is because I haven't actually put an exit sub in here. So what we do is we write exit sub. Now if I run that again, put something in here and here, add information, please enter a gender. I'll enter a gender. Bang, it will change pages. Okay? So that is the text for that particular command button. You can pause your video and have a look at the text at different spots. So here's the first part of the text. Here's the second part of the text. So if I go to page 2 now, I want to have it check to see if one of these has been clicked on. And the way I do that is if I just make a quick, see it's down here, I'm just going to pull it here, put a few spaces in here. Right, so what I do, option, press control space, option button 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So if I write if option button 2 dot value equals false and option button 4 dot value equals false and option button 5 dot value is equal to false and OP option button 6 dot value is equal to false, then press enter. So let's have a look at that. If option button 3 dot value equals false and option button 4 dot value is false and option 5 dot value is false and option 6 dot value is false, then end if, and in here we put our little message box again. Message box, please enter a selection. and exit the sub. Let's run that. So if I've done something there, please enter a selection. If I put there, it's there. Excellent. So we've actually got this button correctly done. We've got this button correctly done. We now want to actually set this up so it works beautifully. So what we want to do is we want to actually click on Finish to actually make it do something like create a message or input the data in somewhere. But what we're going to do now is we're actually going to select the Finish button, right click it, go to Properties, and under Properties I want you to go down to the thing called Enabled. There it is there, Enabled, and it says True, and we're going to press it as False, and you'll see how this is now not doing anything there. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to click over to page 2 and we're going to add something that will enable the Finish button, which is Command button 3. It'll enable Command button 3 if all of this is done. So let's click on that sub. So what button did I click on? I clicked on Add Teams, and right down here before the end sub, in between end if and end sub, we're going to write a quick little program. Very quick. It goes like this: Command button 3 dot enabled equals true. Command button 3 dot enabled equals 3. Let's just check that. That's command button 3. So that's going to enable that once this is done. So I'm going to run this. Here we go. And I've got it coming up so it hits page 2 straight away. And if I click on here, it's going to say please enter a selection. But if I click on no team or something like that, AFL, doesn't matter. If I add teams, this is going to enable. Have a look down here as I press it. 1, 2, 3. And see how it's enabled it. Excellent. So we're going to work on that next class.